Hi, good evening, and welcome back. This week we're going to be taking a look at Module 5. In Module 4, we've really been looking at a lot of grammar, conjunctions, clauses, subjects, predicate, all kinds of brainstorming and writing and drafting. So we started in Module 4 looking at our essay outline, okay, where you had to write your introduction, your thesis statement, you had your body paragraph with details, supporting details for each of the 3 paragraphs, and our conclusion. So this week, for this module, it's really perfecting our essay, making sure you have everything that you need. So let's just take a look together. So if we click on Module 5, okay, there we go. It says we will focus on writing our first draft. You started looking at the first draft in Module 4, but now we're really getting more into revision, editing, and submitting it to me once again and having me look at it again. So this gives you another chance to do that. So you're also reading Foundations of English, Grammar 4.8, Common Sentence Errors. So a lot of you might have seen in your last assignment in the reader response, I might have commented about fragments and run-ons, okay, fused sentences, comma splices. A lot of you had fragments and run-ons within your papers, so we talk about that more in the textbook this week. So fragments being incomplete thoughts, and run-ons where the sentence just goes on and on and on and there's no ending. Okay, sentences that we can combine. So a lot of you might have very short sentences we can combine to make a more mature, longer sounding sentence as well. Okay, and looking ahead with really getting into our essay writing now with our drafting, revision, editing. So a lot of you, I might say things like, okay, I might give some editing corrections and say, please submit it and send it back to me again so I can look at it again and help you. I also would do a Zoom call if you need, but a lot of the times we can take care of a lot of the grammatical and all the corrections, just submitting it to me, doing your best, letting me help you and correct it, and then if you have any further questions, doing it from there. In this module, you are also taking your Proctorio test. So this is like a practice test, so we can be prepared for everything when we really get into our actual testing and you know what to do with Proctorio. So that's in our module here as well. So you can see that here. Okay, there's our hooks, our foundations, our textbook work. Okay, so this is where you would submit. There's your final drafts here. Okay, so remember, and I spoke a lot about this in the reader response, this is very similar in the formatting. A lot of you sent me essays that were font size that was either extremely big or extremely small. Same thing with this, you need specific font size 12, Times New Roman, it needs to be double spaced, and just like with your reader response essays with the specific format where you have your name at the top and my name, making sure you have our course number and today's date, and the date is written different than it would normally be written. We have the number first, so the last assignment we had on September 11th, it was 11 September 2022. Okay, instead of September 11th, we write the 11 first. So just keeping that in mind for our heading, making sure again, our whole entire essay is in, that's MLA format, and that's what we are writing in for the semester. So everything has to be, those details are important, and every one of those things you lose points for if it's not in that format. So don't lose points for format. Because it's always going to be the same, so get familiar with it. Make sure you understand it. If you have questions, feel free to ask me so you don't make those same mistakes over and over again and continue to lose points. There's specific directions on how to submit the essay at the end, but just looking through this module, right, the main focus is your final draft for this exemplification essay. So I'm going to give you another attempt if you need it to do a rough draft. That's here. I didn't put this module out yet, but you'll see it in another day or so. So if I have done a lot of revisions for you in Module 4, this will give you an opportunity to do another rough draft in Module 5 before submitting the final And I know that that gets frustrating having to write it over and over again, but that's truly where you learn how to fix your mistakes, how to correct your grammar. The more you do it, you're seeing my comments and you're fixing it. It really will make your grade higher as well, but it will also help you in the future. Oh yeah, I remember I've been, putting too many commas and they don't need to be here, or I've been doing a lot of fragments. I need to really focus on that. And please, the other thing I ask of you is when you are done, regardless if it's a rough draft or a final draft, make sure you go back and read your work over. I wrote that to a lot of you. A lot of the times you're finished, you're happy to be done, and you just hit submit. And there's so many mistakes that you could find on your own even by just reading it one time, and that you wouldn't lose points for those little grammatical mistakes. So things like forgetting a period at the end of a sentence, right? We all know that that's what we need at the end of a sentence. So that punctuation, that really just comes down to not going back and rereading it. Okay, so looking it over yourself. What I recommend doing if you have access to a printer, and I wrote this to a lot of you as well, print out your essay, print out your papers. It's just something different about seeing it in your hand than on a screen. Okay, you can make notes on it, you can write all over it. Okay, so follow along with the pen and track what you're reading. And just looking yourself, can you find any grammatical mistakes? Because that's really how you get better at. If you can edit your own work and find mistakes within your writing, it'll help you in the future when you're writing as well. Okay, so print it out if you can, at home if you have access to a printer, or at school, or somewhere where you have a printer available. Print it out, correct your own paper, and if you have the ability to, have someone else read it for you. It could be your parent, it could be a friend. Okay, have someone else read it, because they'll find mistakes that you may or may not see in your own writing. Okay, because it's almost like when you're reading it in your head, you're thinking it in a certain tone. So sometimes you're thinking it and you're skipping over the word when you're following along, because you don't realize that. It may or may not be on the paper. It's what you're hearing in your head. So sometimes having someone else read it over helps as well. Okay, but it's really important to make sure that you edit your own work and go back and check and revise. Even to this day, that's something I do when I do editing for various professionals. Okay, I have to print out everything. I will go back, I will read it 2, 3, 4 times. Okay, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes, and that's okay. Okay, so when you go back and you print it out, you have the ability to check your work over and see that, and you can correct a lot of your own mistakes before you send it to me and lose points for it, right? So that's when it's in your control quite a bit. That is our main focus of this module. It's everything we've been doing in Module 3 and part of Module 2 with our writing. As you can see here, all the stuff you've been reading about in your textbook with sentence structure and fragments and run-ons and grammar really comes together in this module and this specific essay type. Okay, so like always, if you have any questions, some of you already have, and it's been great, email me. If we need to do a Zoom type call, then that's fine as well. But a lot of the things you'll realize that we can fix can just be done simply by having me edit for you, and then you going back and fixing those mistakes. And you'll see your score go up tremendously. You put the work in, you put the effort in. Even if you start out with a grade that's not amazing, and you keep trying to make it better, I will keep making that grade higher. Put in that effort, put in the time, because that's how you're going to learn, and it's the only way it will get better. Okay, you're not going to have your writing get better just because you want to, right? I wish things worked that way, that if we just want something to get better, it just does. So obviously you got to put the effort in there. But if you have any questions, like always, email me, okay? And I hope these videos help a little bit, just to clear up everything you need to do for each week and in the modules. So anyway, I enjoy reading more of your work, and thank you so much. Bye.